Hey everybody, Jake Ozanich here. I'm doing the vlog that we had to do as part of our capstone final for Info 4880, Infotech Analysis and Design. Basically, it's a video to encapsulate feelings, emotions, thoughts of just how the class went as a whole throughout like the entire semester. So, I'll go and get started week one. Essentially, nobody had any idea what to expect. We all kind of understood that the capstone was a thing you needed to pass. It was the big thing you had at the end of your senior semester, but nobody really tells you what to expect. You kind of have to hope that you have some buddies that took it before you and tell you. Unfortunately, I didn't, but so thankfully it was a kind of a class majority feeling that nobody really had any idea what we were going to be getting into. And also nobody had any experience really with anything we were about to get into, at least as far as I was aware. Nobody really knew what was going on. And unfortunately, Professor Hughes was also kind of put into a bad spot, short-nosed teaching. So he kind of had to get the curriculum together quickly, and we kind of had to adapt with each other. So he kind of had to adapt to the course material and also adapt to the fact that nobody really had any previous experience, at least any major experience doing with anything that we were about to be doing in the class. So we get through that initial week one, kind of get all the introductory stuff out of the way. He knows what to expect. We're still trying to find out what to expect. So we get our first assignment. Our first assignment, we have to do a system analysis of 3 different websites: D-Wave, iGEM, and NORAD. So we're given those 3 sites, and we have to do a component decomposition, a qualitative and quantitative comparison, an IPO analysis, a cost analysis, and an SDLC analysis. So being as how no one, or me specifically, really had experience dealing with any of this, very much research heavy, had to really kind of dig in, dive head first to find out what the heck I'm writing about, what the heck I'm doing. So we get to that first assignment, gotta look up a lot of stuff, read a lot of the book. I get all the components done, get it turned in. We have our presentations. Presentations are pretty basic. Here's my D-Wave stuff, boom, 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 knock it out. So we get through that. I messed up a little bit. I misunderstood the assignment. There's supposed to be uniformity. You're supposed to do all those components on the same related item. I just did, okay, I'm on D-Wave, here's my component, here's my cost, but they were 2 completely unrelated items. Thankfully, though, I believe I got some bonus points for my cost analysis, so thank you, appreciate it. So that kind of helped out. So the first assignment got started off kind of decent footing, started to gain some kind of expectation as to what to expect for the class, and then we kind of started moving forward. Had a few lectures, got to our second assignment. Our second assignment, we had to do a methodology paper. The methodology, basically the basis of it is that we were given one SDLC model that we had to use. I believe he gave us a spiral model, if I remember correctly. That was one of the ones we were required to use. And then the other one we got to pick. We got to pick from 5 different models, and I picked Agile for it. So spiral and Agile were the 2 models that I was looking at going into this assignment. And the assignment was we had to dissect an RFQ, request for quote. It was from the FDA, and the basis of it was that minorities with diabetes don't get essentially a fair share of information, as opposed to more predominant, those are more predominant with diabetes as far as Caucasians. So we had to go through previous information. We had to go through past social media posts, Facebook, Twitter, and then we had to go through previous comments made at FDA meetings and anything like that. So we had to account for those. We had to look for software that would help dissect that, and then we had to put a plan together on how we can fix this issue and use the 2 models that I had picked. So I did that, got the diagrams in there, laid out a plan. For mine, I kept things pretty on a conceptual level, didn't really get too detailed just because I had no idea what to put in for the detail. So it was pretty much still on a conceptual level, very hypothetical. Uh, could have got bonus points if I would have gone into more detail, so specifically like, hey, yeah, do X, Y, and Z, and you'd been good to go. So we get through that. We had to recommend which model we would use and everything like that. So the presentations on assignment 2 were a little more detailed, um, a little more defined. Uh, I know personally my presentation I did well on, but again, as I said, my paper was more on a conceptual level, so could have drilled that further into detail to get more points on that. So again, we're still adapting at this point. Still a trial by fire teaching style, which I'm okay with. I just wish that'd be something we were more exposed to earlier, like in our education career at any point. I feel like, elementary school, middle school, high school, even earlier in college, nobody really has that teaching style anymore. It's very much okay, here's reading material, here's homework, here's test. Boom, 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 memorize, regurgitate, spit it out, you got an A. So having a trial by fire teaching style we're still adjusting at this point for assignment 2, just because still ahead of time it's a lot of self-research. It's a lot of digging myself. Obviously he was doing lectures that were helping on bigger topics, but as far as specifics and stuff like that, that was definitely all something that we as the students had to do ourselves, which is perfectly fine. I prefer being more hands-on anyways, just because I feel like I sit there in a lecture, I'll be honest, half the time I zone out, start thinking about other stuff, start thinking about work, what I'm doing afterwards, what I want to eat for lunch. Very important topic of the day. So I do prefer the hands-on style. I just wish we had more of it. So we get through assignment 2, all that's completed, still learning, still adapting, and then we go on to assignment 3, which assignment 3 was where we were given a video. It was a real video with a real, inventor, entrepreneur, a business owner. I guess we'll just go with a business owner. We had to watch the video that Professor Hughes recorded. It was an interview with this business owner. So we had to focus on system specifications and requirements. So we had to create those documents based on the video. And ahead of time, before we even got the video, Professor Hughes did say that, there's going to be some stuff that's specific. There's going to be other stuff that he might not say. So it was really kind of it was an assignment that also saw how we process things. If we're able to look further into detail, kind of read between the lines, or if we can only see what's on the surface. So we get that. We have to create specification and requirements documents, which was really confusing to me at first because I always thought specifications and requirements they kind of fell under the same umbrella, and they still kind of do. I remember the best thing he said that stuck with me in class was that specifications are kind of how the system is now, and requirements are what you're looking to get. Is the requirements are what you're looking to gain in the future. So that was kind of the basis on how I organized everything. So we had to do that, and then we had to create UMLs. This is the first time we had to deal with UMLs in this class. I think previously in recent other classes I did touch on UML slightly. Nothing in depth though by any means. I think it was only my one database class was the only time we ever really got into those. It was a activity diagram, a use case diagram, and I believe it was also a component diagram. So we had to create those, and we had to actually create them in detail because these were getting submitted. His name was Mr. Davenport, so they were submitted, and Mr. Davenport and Mr. Hughes or Professor Hughes actually went over these, got feedback, and now in assignment 3 we're getting to the point of real world application, which again I much more prefer that instead of I'm reading a textbook and X, Y, Z made up scenario happens. Made up scenario is not going to do anyone any good. I feel like I do kind of fit more with this style. Listen, tell me how this is going to actually help me in my job down the road. How's this going to make me money? I feel like a lot of people are very financially driven. I know I am specifically. I can't imagine really anybody that doesn't have some kind of financial incentive to do, better, to have more knowledge. But so we worked with him. We got the assignments back for that. We didn't have to do presentations on those, so that was nice. Not to worry about a presentation. Hey, it's one less thing you got to worry about. And so then we go from that, and then we go to assignment 4, which assignment 4 build on it. There was something from Crawling to Destiny. It was like a daycare, childcare facility that we had to answer. And basically what they were looking to do was they were looking to streamline their hiring process. They felt it was inefficient and didn't really take advantage of the technology that we have in this time today in the modern world. So we had to actually complete a detailed plan. And this is the first time we actually got into using project management software. So that was an experience. Again, with every assignment, like there's been a new addition, a new module added on. So had to learn how to use that. Thankfully, it was simple. Project management, or at least the one I used was simple. It was, I think it was Project Libre. Simple, nice to use. Gave me everything I needed, so that was good. Free advertising for Project Libre, there you go. And so we had to use those, and we had to create certain charts. It was a Gantt chart, a PERT chart, and we also had to create a work breakdown structure. So thankfully that was all done within the project management software. The only difficult part was trying to actually give a timeline of when these things could be completed, because not doing this myself at all before, I have no idea how long it's going to take. I have no idea how long it's going to take to implement certain practices or a website or have a vendor come in. That's, stuff all out of my knowledge. So we started to project that, which I think I projected like 10 days to get everything done. If that's right, I don't know. I just actually recently got my grade back for that assignment. So, obviously I did something right. I got a good grade on it. So we had to create that, and then we had to actually, again, that was another scenario where Professor Hughes was taking that to the Crawling to Destiny people. So again, we got that real world application, which again, I prefer. That's just, I'd rather do that because it's, much better. We're actually using, like, this is something we can actually use. It's real life practice, not just a made up scenario in a book. So that brings us to the end of the semester. It feels like forever ago that we kind of started this, I guess we'll say, journey. It's been quite a journey, but it's been a while since we started this. We're working on our final project stuff. We have a hybrid paper to do, so we're taking previously stated SDLC models, going over their history, their reviews, and then measuring out the pros and cons. And we have to actually make a hybrid model that's our own, that is using as many pros as possible and eliminating any cons that could be possible. So we have that on our plate. We have to worry about a K combination problem. So that's like dealing with like factorial stuff like that. That's something that's kind of new, or at least new to me. I never really touched on that in any of my math class before, but I think the highest math I had to take was statistics. So I didn't really have to like touch high on math at all. So we had to take care of that. And then the big part of it was that as a class, we had to work on this NRI proposal. So with the proposal, basically it's to put a virtual lab in the area of Youngstown State University that would allow places that don't have the capability to run their own robotics tests. We would act as kind of like a surrogate for it. So we would use a real life facility. We would have 2 different areas, a water tank area and like a terrestrial area, just anything for land use. And then we would receive code from whoever we're working with, and then we would run the tests for them, and we would have like webcams set up through Skype that so they could view them, they could do corrections, we could be in contact with them like, hey, like the code you sent us isn't working, you want to try something else, yada yada. So we have that. That's a real proposal. So who knows, I mean, maybe that could get YSU some funding and we could see another big addition to the Youngstown area. So we have that on our plate. The nice thing though is that it is a like class project, So we were broken up into groups. Those were mandated by Professor Hughes. And then we worked within those groups to accomplish our goal. I believe the groups were project management, database, security, social media, and website. I believe those were the groups. I might be missing one. But so we have these different groups. There's roughly like 5 to 8 people per group. So it's nice. It's not just 1 or 2 people. And working on this project with everybody else, it really felt like, something like we would all be doing. Like, it felt really realistic. It felt like it very much simulated what we would be doing if we were actually officially contractors. So we're working on that right now. It's finals week. We're about to be submitting all of that. And so now that we've gone through the class as a whole at this point, I can say that I do appreciate the teaching style. I just wish we had more of it, so that way it wasn't such almost like a culture shock going into the semester. But I do prefer the real world application. Honestly, I would have rather had the lectures be a little different. I think I personally would have scheduled the lectures differently. However, at the end of the day, Professor Hughes, he got the job done. As far as I'm aware, everybody has learned something. At least I know I've learned something from this semester, as far as what can be done in the real world and what actually we're capable to do. So now I do feel more confident in the fact that if I go down this road in the future, that I'm able to look at something that I've never seen before and I'm able to do something with it. I'm able to dissect it, produce results, analyze it. I feel like I'd be capable to handle that and possibly do that for a living. So this, who knows? Maybe consulting or being a contractor in the form of this realm is a possibility for the future. I mean, who knows? We'll have to see whoever pays the biggest money post graduation. So we have that. I really like the people in this class. I have had a class with a couple of them before. Unfortunately, I've been stuck with Joe Gill my entire college career. But Greg, I've had a class with before. I think there was a couple other guys. I think Ryan, I've had one with, and possibly Jason. But everybody else, this is my first time having a class with them. And I feel like as we're kind of closing down on this, I'm glad with the people we had. We have a lot of people that are very driven. They like to get their work done, which is appreciative. And overall, as a whole, I think we really gelled well on this final project. It's something where everybody, kind of got their collective portion done. All the groups, as far as I'm aware, have completed all their aspects. I was a part of the database and web team, so I know the database stuff is very much pretty much set in stone at this point, unless the project management team does some kind of last minute detailing. But I know that the database stuff is pretty well taken care of. We had to do a schema, an ERD diagram, and we also had to do, I believe, a use case diagram for the database stuff. So we got that laid out. We used SQL Oracle for that. We got that all laid out, and that's ready to go. And then for the website, we went to WordPress. All the stuff I'll get into further detail when I do the actual video based on this. I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on the whole semester and everything we're doing. So we have the website. We went through WordPress for that. I believe we had a lot of people in that group, so it was kind of a quick, painless. Everybody had their part. Everybody got their part done. Everybody was responsible, thankfully, and so everybody got their stuff done. I mean, I'm as far as the work I've seen, I'm happy the way it's turned out. I think Professor Hughes will be as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing back from that. As of right now, the submission date hasn't been set yet, so we can't actually submit it. We have to wait for that to be done for Professor Hughes and whoever else responsible. We have to wait for that submission date for them to send it. So other than that, I mean, I'm glad with how the semester turned out. It kind of feels like the semester lasted a lot longer than it really did. Maybe it's because half of it was difficult, just because adaptation and learning learning so much new stuff so rapidly. But the people in class, I'm glad uh, it was who was there was in there. I was glad to be able to, meet some new people that can, who, as far as I know, can impact my future. So I'm sure I'll be stuck with Joe for a little bit longer. um, but overall, the class definitely served its purpose. I think Professor Hughes, in the long run, did a good job once everybody kind of got the ball rolling. But until that point, it was definitely rough. I was like watching. It was like a lot of people compare this first season to Stranger Things. The first half was kind of rough because they had to establish everything, but then once the rest of the season got going, it got really good. So I do feel confident that everything's going to work out well for the final project and for the proposal. And other than that, I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for Christmas. I'm ready to graduate. I'm ready to move on, start the next chapter of my life. So, everybody, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Professor Hughes, my classmates, whoever watches this video. Um, and other than that, I'll see you guys around.